This is 10 hours ago. Let's tap in.
Y Venezuela, dos países que durante años mantuvieron una relación incómoda, hoy están al borde de la confrontación. Washington acusa a Nicolás Maduro de liderar un narcoestado. El presidente Donald Trump lo llama terrorista. Buques y aviones estadounidenses.
Just look at that. I mean, I can't even count all the fighter jets, let alone helicopters, let alone, God knows what munitions they have on this thing. Unreal. We are so armed. The United States is so armed.
Estados Unidos y Venezuela, dos países que durante años mantuvieron una relación incómoda, hoy están al borde de la confrontación. Washington acusa a Nicolás Maduro de liderar un narcoestado. El presidente Donald Trump lo llama terrorista. Buques y aviones estadounidenses patrullan a pocos kilómetros de las costas venezolanas. Bombarderos vuelan tan cerca que dibujan provocaciones en el radar. Y los mensajes en redes son cada vez más claros. La paciencia se acabó. Esta noche, en Línea de Fuego, Nicolás Maduro en la mira. Y la pregunta acá en Washington es inevitable. ¿Estamos frente al final de Maduro o simplemente otro capítulo de amenazas que no terminan en guerra? James Story fue el último embajador formal de Estados Unidos en Caracas. Conoce como pocos el régimen de Maduro desde adentro.
Autorizaron que la CIA haga operaciones contra Venezuela, contra la paz de Venezuela. Eso nunca se había visto.
¿Qué va a pasar con Nicolás Maduro?
Buena pregunta. Yo creo que en la política nuestra, en este momento, hay tres cosas. Que queremos que alguien cerca a él lo extradita para los Estados Unidos, lo pone en exilio para otro.
Hold up, chat. I gotta get the volume control on this. We're gonna reload it. It's a little quiet to me.
Estados Unidos y Venezuela, dos países.
Minute.
De otra manera, digamos,
Right here, yeah.
que alguien cerca a él lo extradita para los Estados Unidos, lo pone en exilio para otro país o lo dejan salir de otra manera, digamos, del escenario.
¿Cuál es ese escenario que usted cree es el más probable?
Mira, lo que creo yo en este momento,
Sí.
estamos aumentando la presión.
Sí.
Obviamente, durante el primer mandato de Trump, él habló mucho de que todas las opciones están sobre la mesa.
Let me know if it's too loud. I can turn it down.
Las opciones están enfrente de la casa, o sea, están en la costa de Venezuela. El presidente va a tener una serie de opciones que puede hacer. Ataques contra narcotraficantes dentro del territorio de Venezuela, en 12 millas náuticas de la costa o dentro, digamos, del territorio firme de Venezuela. También puede acabar con las fuerzas navales, fuerzas aéreas de Venezuela en un momento dado. Puede también decapitar el gobierno de Venezuela, gobierno entre comillas, porque este grupo es un grupo de delincuentes, no es un gobierno. Entonces, esas son opciones que el presidente tiene.
Y si no pasa, ¿usted cree que Estados Unidos va a llegar allá y cómo llegaría?
Y si me hubiera preguntado a 2 meses, yo diría, bueno, 10% de probabilidad. Hoy día estoy diciendo 80%. Yo creo que eso sí va a pasar. ¿Y por qué? Porque tenemos las herramientas militares muy importantes en la región. Y no se puede tener estos ahí para siempre. O sea, hay que utilizarlos o mandarlos para otra zona en el mundo.
Pero déjeme tratar de clarificar esto. Sí. ¿80% de que va a pasar qué? ¿De
Algo.
que Estados Unidos va a sacar al presidente Maduro?
Va a pasar algo.
¿O que lo van a tumbar internamente?
O 80% de que vamos a hacer algo. Con el objetivo de que Maduro sale de poder.
¿Esto tiene alguna ventana de tiempo?
Yo creo que sí. Solo porque lo que tenemos como herramientas, los buques, destroyeros, los aviones, los hombres y todo en la región, tiene que ser utilizado o tiene que regresar a sus bases. Entonces yo diría dentro de 30 días.
30 días. ¿Eso significa que sea un ataque de las agencias especiales de Estados Unidos, de la CIA? ¿Eso es qué?
Puede haber esto, puede haber también...
So real quick, this analyst is saying, I didn't catch where they're from, I think maybe they said they were a former ambassador, Caracas. But he's put a timeline on this already. He's saying, based on the tools that are in the region, right? The boots on the ground, the ships in the area, the arms in the area. He's saying, in 30 days, we're either going to see something happen or we're going to see that return to base, and that will kind of de-escalate the situation from this kind of cocked gun, if you will, like loaded gun in this escalation pointed at Venezuela. Wow.
Un ataque contra una pista clandestina en el sur del lago de Maracaibo, puede ser algo en contra de Estado Cabello, en su finca, puede haber algo en alta mar, en las 12 millas náuticas de la costa, dentro, digamos, en el territorio venezolano. Mi análisis, esa fuerza es una fuerza demasiado grande para antinarcóticos, digamos. Este es para hacer algo contra el Estado de Venezuela.
Pero algunos dicen que no es lo suficientemente grande para una invasión.
No es.
So his assessment, guy on the right's assessment, this is too big of a force to be a anti-drug narco trafficking force. This is something against the state of Venezuela, right? The military of Venezuela, the official state military of Venezuela, not some non-state actor, not some, what are they calling, like cartel or gang. It has nothing to do with that, is what this guy on the right is saying. Because of the force they've brought here, he thinks it's against the state of Venezuela. Or that's a tool to be used against the state of Venezuela, right? You see a hammer, that's for a nail. You don't see a hammer and say, oh, I'm expecting a birthday cake, right? He's calling it like he sees it.
Pero no es necesario. Tampoco va a ser una invasión. Se puede hacer todo de una distancia.
¿Maduro tiene alguna salida en esto, negociada por lo menos?
Debería tratar de negociar su salida.
Yeah, let me translate again. So he said it's not going to be an invasion. Everything can be done at a distance. There was, I believe, 2 separate CIA-linked operations. One of them was captured. Two American citizens were captured off the coast of Trinidad and Tobago. And I believe there was another operation, a false flag operation, some kind of explosion in Venezuela. I think it was at a gas station or some kind of a, energy infrastructure like that. I don't think it was like that big. I think it might have even been like a consumer, gas pump where you'd go and fill up your normal car, your everyday vehicle. But I think there was some kind of like a fire bombing or some kind of explosive kind of attack that had happened. And I think they were saying that this might be a CIA linked operation. But again, that's one of them. The other one was thwarted. They were captured, and I don't think anything happened. I don't know if that was a distraction. I don't know if that was actually real, but I'm just parroting what I had seen. But this did come from Venezuelan state media. Venezuela military had captured them off the coast of Trinidad and Tobago.
Porque puede ser que no es evidente, pero va a pasar.
Nicolás Maduro es un narcotraficante y es un terrorista. Y no lo digo yo.
Oh, no. They got Marco Rubio doing propaganda in Espanol. This is like the most evil thing, dude. Oh my God. I don't know what to call this. This is evil. This is wicked. This is evil. This is you doubling down. Not only do you look the part, you have the name Rubio, Marco Rubio, but you're gonna put your best "I'm one of you" act on and go and be the mouth of propaganda for the United States, be a hand of the United States, not even like a pinky toe. This is just... I knew this guy didn't have a spine, but holy cow. Ugh. Marco Rubio.
Puede ser que no es.
That's the same guy that like Trump was like shitting on him, and then he like, got in buddy with Trump. He was like, oh, Rubio can't hold a glass of water or whatever the fuck it was. And then Rubio like joined him, or I think he said something about like his wife or his family or something. Just, yeah, their interests do align. their interests do align. They're politicians. They don't care. They hate you one week, the next week they're just flip-flop to, you know, whatever, again, gets the most likes, keeps their follower count up. They're playing politics. They're playing people. These people don't care about doing the right thing. I don't think they really think that way at all. It never comes from a place of some kind of action for moral, you know, bringing about justice in the world or bringing about awareness or anything like that. This is their justice, a kind of like, I'm popular and famous and everyone likes me. That's their morality. Wow, yeah. I think they're like, if you're popular, you must be good. Like, if people support you, then that counts for something, right? These are the same student council pilled, class president pilled. They just never got out of that headspace, I guess. I can't see the difference. I don't know if anyone else understands the intricacies. I think it's the same exact song and dance. It's a popularity contest. It's a complicated popularity contest because they try and make it seem like, oh, you know, it's about policy. It's about beating the other guy. But it's not. Okay. With that, I think I can listen to Rubio for 2 seconds. But just 2 seconds.
Es evidente, pero va a pasar.
Nicolás Maduro es un narcotraficante y es un terrorista. Y no lo digo yo, lo dice un gran jurado en el estado de Nueva York.
Estados Unidos tiene un largo historial de...
So he's calling Maduro a terrorist and a drug trafficker. I think I mixed up the order of those. A drug trafficker, narcotráfico, and a terrorist. And he doubles down saying, and I'm not the only one that says that. Countless people, many are saying this, big if true. Many are saying Maduro is not only a narco trafficker, but a terrorist. Bing, 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 we hit the neon light word. That's the buzzword. You just activated the daily double. Terrorist was the daily double word, Marco Rubio. What the fucking hell? And I'm not the only one. It's not just me. It's the rest of the United States. I have the might of the American empire behind me, so if you say I'm wrong, that's who you're saying is wrong. Give me a fucking break. Where does this guy get off? Like, seriously. He's just a vampire, like, stuck in this for the rest of his life until he, I don't know, has some kind of life-changing moment that actually, like, makes him jump off the train tracks of this, right? He has to, like, I don't know. It's like he's underwater and he has to swim up to the surface to begin to build the rest of his life. Because I don't know how the fuck you come back from this evil shit. I don't think you do either. Yeah. Not in this lifetime. Maybe in the karmic cycle, in the other, in your next life, through reincarnation, maybe you will learn. Oh, jeez. All right, what does this say? Intervenciones militares. Okay, military intervention. Let's see what this infographic here. Wow, quite the graphic. We have United States in orange here. And like anything south of the US border, right? All of Mexico, all of the Caribbean is red. I mean, that's the situation, right? They have, you know, a blank check. They have free reign, is what the US is saying. They're establishing this doctrine of we are allowed to bomb whoever the fuck we want anywhere over here. So that's what this map is showing, right? Like, if you're anywhere south of the US border, let alone in the US border, especially if you're an immigrant, but if you're anywhere south of the US border, you are in the war zone. You are a a potential enemy combatant. You are a potential target, potential terrorist in the eyes of the United States. So yeah, wow. Picture is worth 1,000 words here, especially this one. Let's see what they have here. This is a great breakdown, especially, you know, this is developing right now.
Intervenciones. Haití, República Dominicana, Nicaragua, Guatemala, Cuba, Granada, Panamá.
This is a short list of the history of U.S. military interventions in Latin America. Cuba, Haiti, Dominican Republic, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Panama, Granada.
Algunas cumplieron su
If you've ever heard the term banana republics, right? Banana republics, that came from this military intervention. The United States going in, installing governments, overthrowing the existing government, installing a government. Often this is a shift from socialist... often this is a shift away from socialism, communism, towards American capitalism, not just capitalism, American capitalism, right? Financed by Americans, financed by the West, France, Britain, Germany, Swiss banks, Switzerland. The name of the country almost evaded me. Swiss. It's what? Swiss Erland, or however they refer to themselves. Swissistan. Yeah, that's what the banana republics are. They went in, installed these governments that would be favorable to the United States. Like, not just favorable, I mean corrupted in the favor of the United States. And that's why bananas today are so fucking cheap. They still are so fucking cheap. Yeah, I'm just going to repeat that. With Hawaii, we went a step further and just took the whole state. I didn't know that. Apparently, a lot of our bananas now are from Hawaii. Yeah, I think Dole and what's the other one? Chiquita. They have farms there, right? But yeah, banana, pineapple, sugarcane. If you've ever had table sugar, you know, white sugar, brown sugar, cane sugar. They really extract and exploit as much as they possibly can because it's good business. That's American capitalism. You want to make a profit, go to another country, overthrow the government. Now you're making like absolutely bonkers returns you could only dream of trying to do a, you know, mom and pop, I don't know, restaurant in the United States, or let's not even go that far. Maybe you just want to invest it, you know, returns that you could not dream of because they are evil and illegal and criminal. But these people don't fucking care. They make the return. They become millionaires. Rinse and repeat, right? Money has this snowball effect. $1 million becomes $1 billion, especially among generations, over the generations, I should say. With this kind of wealth concentration, this kind of inheritance of wealth, money staying in the family, estates, trusts. So that's what's happening here, right? This graphic that they had just shown, a short list of United States interventions in Latin America to establish these banana republics, these fake governments, these puppets for the United States, to not just get a favorable deal, but to fully corrupt those governments at the benefit of American business owners, American corporations, and therefore the American government, because the American government has always been lobbied, corrupted, bought and paid for by business interests, by business people, by corporations.
Algunas cumplieron su objetivo, otras, como Bahía de Cochinos, dejaron heridas políticas que aún no cierran. Elliot Abrams Fue enviado especial de Donald Trump a Irán y Venezuela. Es asociado senior del Consejo de Relaciones Internacionales. Hay algunos que dicen Estados Unidos ha
That's
tenido
fascinating
diferentes-
because I've been trying to tease out the Israeli-Iranian connection. I think they just said that they had the same special envoy for Iran and Venezuela. That's interesting to me. Not surprising because they're both kind of these enemy states, right? They are already economically sanctioned. They are, let's say, ideologically at odds with the United States. They don't want to play ball with the United States American capitalism. And so the United States has marked them as an enemy, as a terrorist, right? They're saying Maduro is a terrorist for, you know, whatever list of reasons they're saying, but the reality is it's because he's not playing ball with them. He doesn't want to work with them on this American capitalist thing. They have a lot of oil reserves, the biggest in the world, believe it or not. They used to refine that in the United States because in Texas, Venezuela has a very heavy petroleum. I believe it's high in, what was it, sulfur, if I'm not mistaken. So it's a special kind of oil. They have a lot of oil, but it takes a special kind of processing. In the past, the only refinery that could do that was in Texas. And if I'm not mistaken, now they do not have a deal to process that in the United States at all. But they are either currently processing or have a deal in the works to begin processing their petroleum at refineries in China that have, you know, the full capability to process this heavy kind of petroleum, this high in, what did I say it was? I think sulfur, this high in sulfur petroleum. They need to refine that down, right? So that's interesting. That's interesting that the same envoy, special envoy for Iran is the same special envoy for Venezuela. Both of these countries have high petroleum reserves, proven petroleum reserves. Okay, they've already, surveyed it or whatever. They have, kind of technology to say, yep, that's there. We can see it under the ground. We can use our instruments to locate these oil reserves and prove that they have this kind of oil, show that they have this kind of petroleum product, crude oil petroleum. But not only that, they have a lot of gold. So it's a very resource-rich country. And it begs the question, what are the United States motivations here? What are the United States motivations here if, not only do we see this, let's say, economic rift, that they aren't trade partners, that they have even different views on the system of economics, right? I'd say that the United States, from what I understand, obviously they invented American capitalism, but I don't think Venezuela is, I think they've nationalized a lot more things than the United States, for example. Nationalized a lot more industries, natural resources, I should say. And that's not the case in America, right? You have a lot more privatization, a lot more corporations, business people, businessmen that are hoarding wealth, accumulating it, sitting on millions and billions of dollars, and, just playing the game, making their money grow and grow off the backs of working class people. Continue.
Relaciones internacionales. Hay algunos que dicen Estados Unidos ha tenido diferentes experiencias en la región. Experiencias positivas y rápidas como Granada, como Panamá, pero experiencias difíciles como Cuba, donde finalmente todo lo que derrama Cuba en la región termina como Colombia, como Bolivia, como el socialismo del siglo XXI. ¿Cómo va a ser esta experiencia para Estados Unidos?
I don't think that Donald Trump is planning to invade Venezuela the way the first President Bush invaded Panama with 30,000 troops. Trump doesn't like that. He doesn't want to do that. He ran against doing that. I think he likes to do the kind of thing he did in killing Soleimani or bombing Iran. These are one-off, in a sense. You announce it when it's over. So we're not going to have this kind of very bad experience that we had in the Middle East. To me, the question is, if the pressure keeps rising, if there are attacks in Venezuela, will the regime or the army crack? And that I think we're going to find out in the next few months.
¿Cuánto tiempo tiene Estados Unidos, el presidente Trump, para hacer algo o no en contra de Nicolás Maduro?
From a military point of view, I don't think you can leave this whole flotilla in the Caribbean for 3 more years, the time Trump has in office.
As a matter of fact, AP is reporting today that the U.S. tried to recruit one of Maduro's pilots in one of those trips, actually deliver it to him to the U.S. authorities. Do you think that that's a possibility? Do you think that eventually will happen? That he's going to be betrayed by one of his?
There is a $50 million reward. So a pilot who delivers him is going to be a rich man. But he knows that, and he is surrounded by Cuban intelligence agents.
En marzo de 2025, Donald Trump calificó al régimen venezolano como el cartel criminal más peligroso del hemisferio occidental. Pero en 2020, su Departamento de Justicia ya había acusado a Maduro por narcoterrorismo y ofreció $15 millones por su captura, recompensa que en 2025 elevó a $50 millones. Durante años, Washington condenó a Caracas, pero ahora el lenguaje y la postura militar son distintos. Embajador, ¿por qué ahora? ¿Qué ha cambiado de Trump 1 a hoy? ¿Qué ha cambiado?
Mira, cuando el presidente Trump se postuló para ser presidente de nuevo, habló mucho sobre inmigración y también sobre la criminalidad que viene con grupos como Tren de Aragua. Y ahora esos grupos son definidos como grupos de terrorismo. El presidente Trump quiere acabar con un problema grave en la región.
Elliot Abrams tiene su versión de por qué la administración Trump en esta oportunidad, a diferencia de su primer gobierno, está más alineado para una acción contra el régimen de Nicolás Maduro. What happened between Trump's one and Trump's second administration? Why now? ¿Por qué ahora?
To me, this is the great mystery. Because in Trump 1, there were people, John Bolton above all, pushing for more action. And he couldn't sell it to the president. So what changed? You can say, well, Rubio is pushing. And that's the big difference. I don't think that's a full explanation. I don't understand what changed the president's mind that led to this military action. To me, this is the mystery.
They used to say, the U.S. would never go against Venezuela and Maduro because he knows, or the U.S. knows, that eventually Russia will get involved, that eventually Iran will get involved, that eventually China will get involved. Do you think that was part of an imaginary picture that people had in Latin America before?
Quizás Maduro piensa que él tiene a su lado los rusos, los chinos, Irán también. Pero vemos lo que pasó en Irán, atacado por Israel y después los Estados Unidos. ¿Qué han hecho en reacción los rusos, los chinos? Nada, pero absolutamente nada.
El portaaviones más grande y moderno de Estados Unidos, el USS Gerald Ford, navega hacia el Caribe. Un buque capaz de transportar 75 aviones de combate y operar durante meses sin reabastecerse. Hablamos con Sergio de la Peña, ex subsecretario de Defensa para el hemisferio occidental. Estados Unidos tiene desplegado el portaaviones más grande que tiene el arsenal estadounidense camino a Venezuela. ¿Eso qué significa?
Eso quiere decir que el presidente Trump está cumpliendo con algunas de sus metas implicadas. La meta principal es pararle el flujo de drogas hacia los Estados Unidos, y el segundo es que los países que tienen inmigrantes en los Estados Unidos que llegaron ilegalmente durante el periodo del presidente Biden, tienen que regresarse a sus países de origen. Y lo que estamos viendo hoy en día es cumpliendo con esos objetivos. Entonces, si requiere más presión para el presidente Maduro, lo va a hacer. El señor Maduro, que se robó elecciones y que obviamente no es el presidente legítimo, entonces ha sido declarado un terrorista y esas son las acciones que se están tomando en contra de él.
Esto suena extrañamente como un lugar donde ya hemos estado. Antes de COVID, toda la presión del gobierno de Estados Unidos estaba sobre Venezuela para que Juan Guaidó se quedara como presidente del país. Y no pasó. ¿Por qué esa vez no pasó? Y aquí sí puede pasar.
En aquel entonces no había una flota al lado de Venezuela. No había la presión que se le está aplicando hoy en día. El señor Maduro debe de reconocer que es tiempo de que él se vaya. Se le está dando la oportunidad.
¿Cómo cambiaría la región si Estados Unidos tiene éxito en derrocar a Maduro?
Yo pienso que el impacto a Nicaragua y el impacto a Cuba sería severo, porque ellos han sostenido a esos dos países. Así que económicamente, políticamente, se ve que el modelo no funciona. Lo que pasa es que estos gobiernos déspotas, entrenados por Cuba, saben cómo establecer los medios de inteligencia para que el propio pueblo chisme a sus vecinos en el modelo que establecieron los rusos, que se lo pasaron a Fidel, que Fidel se lo pasó a Chávez y luego después a Maduro, lo mismo con Daniel Ortega.
Elliot Abrams piensa que los prometidos ataques en tierra, siguiente paso en la escalación anunciada por el gobierno Trump, son prácticamente inminentes. Estados Unidos tiene dispuestos en el sur del Caribe casi el 15% de la naval actualmente. Es una cantidad enorme de activos en el sur del Caribe. ¿Se puede devolver el presidente Donald Trump sin hacer nada? ¿Sin Maduro? Ya cruzó la línea.
Él está comprometido ahora y por eso creo que habrá próximos pasos. Y el próximo paso para mí es un ataque dentro de Venezuela.
Para Washington, Venezuela no solo es un narcoestado, es un tablero de competencia global. En Caracas, Rusia entrena militares. China invierte en petróleo y telecomunicaciones. Irán instala tecnología y presencia operativa. Controlar Venezuela no solo es cuestión de cocaína y otras drogas, es cuestión de influencia. En la Casa Blanca lo llaman la doctrina Monroe 2.0. América para los americanos, para nadie más. Let's try to put this into the geopolitical sphere. Is this something about Maduro and drug trafficking? Or do you think that this is more of the U.S. trying to show the rest of the world that we are under the new Monroe Doctrine?
How much is, let's say, Monroe Doctrine, the sense that, I put it differently, Venezuela is giving 35 to 50,000 barrels a day of oil to Cuba. Without that oil, maybe the Cuban regime collapses. So maybe what Trump is trying to do, and he has 3 more years, is get rid of MADURO, then Diaz-Canel goes, and that regime. And if they fall, Daniel Ortega is next. And then Trump can say, I've gotten rid of all the anti-American regimes in the Western Hemisphere. It's a hemisphere of freedom.
And is that a high likelihood that you give to that possibility? Is that the real plan that Donald Trump has?
I don't know. I would say this. If the regime falls in Venezuela, the chances that the Cuban and Nicaraguan regimes will fall over the next 3 years, not tomorrow morning, go way up.
Maduro lleva en el poder tanto tiempo como
That's
Chávez.
everything but an admission, right? Because that's in the United States' interests. That's all in the United States' interests. He's basically saying this is the first domino to fall. You know, this is what we need to start the rest of the operation in Latin America.
Y con él, la confrontación se ha endurecido. 2017, sanciones financieras. 2019, reconocimiento de Juan Guaidó. 2020, acusación judicial contra Maduro por narcotráfico. 2025, despliegue naval y autorización de operaciones encubiertas de la CIA. Una escalada que suena familiar. La pregunta es, ¿hasta dónde llegará? ¿Por qué ahora? ¿Por qué Estados Unidos y el presidente Trump tiene en la mira a Venezuela, tiene en la mira a Nicolás Maduro?
Porque el presidente Trump en su primer periodo intentó. En ese momento no tuvo, vino el COVID, recordemos el 2020, y el Pentágono no estaba on board, en eso no estaba decidido a que esa era la mejor solución. Y el enfoque que se le daba a los carteles era un enfoque político, era un enfoque del punto de vista policial. Cuando él asume ahora este segundo periodo, él determina y dice, los carteles los clasifica como organización terrorista global, lo mete dentro del terrorismo. Y si uno recuerda qué marcó aquí el terrorismo, tenemos que retroceder a las Torres Gemelas. El terrorismo islámico era una amenaza para la seguridad de Estados Unidos. Cuando el presidente Trump decide que varios carteles tienen ese impacto a la seguridad nacional, es cuando Trump cambia.
Y ese es un nivel muy alto, digamos.
So yeah, he's saying that this designation as a terrorist group, that this specific use of the word terrorist has put them under the crosshairs of the entire nation's military, right? They've kind of upgraded the designation, upgraded the threat level, if you will. And these are seen as more important, top of mind enemies of the United States. I think they were saying as you know, potentially as an impact to national security. Let's see what the interviewer says here.
Nacional es cuando Trump cambia.
Y ese es un nivel muy alto, digamos, más arriba que ese nivel de ponerlo en esos momentos tan duros en la historia de los Estados Unidos. Es muy difícil de sobrellevar. ¿Hasta dónde va a llegar el presidente Trump?
El presidente Trump va a llegar hasta neutralizar el cartel de los soles, porque es su intención. Él, al determinar que es una amenaza, que mueren 100.000 estadounidenses anuales por causas del consumo de droga, para él es una prioridad.
Cuando usted dice neutralizar es...
I don't know if that's good analysis, though, right? This is a scapegoat, kind of. You were just saying that they had marked Maduro as, you know, what was it, leader of the, you know, accusing him of drug trafficking in 2020 was when they had first accused him. So I'm not convinced. Yeah, I don't think I agree with that analysis. I think it's an excuse, but I don't think that's their true motivation here. I don't think that's what they're going after. But let's see where they go with this.
Destruir, acabar. ¿Qué es con respecto a Venezuela?
Neutralizar quiere decir acabar. Él va a eliminar la amenaza de los carteles, tanto en Venezuela, en Colombia y en México.
¿Eso es sacando a Nicolás Maduro del poder?
Yeah, this is...
Es que
he's saying he's going to eliminate the cartel in Venezuela, Mexico, and Colombia. I don't think that's the stated goal. That's the stated military goal, but I don't think you can read it on its face like that. I don't think that's good analysis. Right? Of course, there's some between the lines, reading between the lines you need to do.
Nicolás Maduro es el jefe del cartel. Recordemos que lo califican como el jefe del cartel. Por lo tanto,
I think he's repeating what the state is saying. Right? He's saying it's because they're going after Maduro because Maduro is head of the cartel.
La salida de
Remember
Maduro
that he is described as the head of the cartel.
Consecuencia, porque elimina al jefe.
Therefore,
del
Maduro's
cartel.
departure from power
¿Cuál es el
is
juego
a
de
consequence
Estados
because it
Unidos
eliminates the head.
¿Disuasión o intervención?
What's
Porque
the
hay
United
dos
States game
escuelas
today?
de pensamiento en esto, que está creando una
Deterrence or
gran capacidad
intervention,
militar
because there are two
para que
schools of
dentro
thought.
de Venezuela lo traicionen y lo saquen del poder. Y la otra es Estados Unidos interviniendo directamente.
En este momento es disuasión. ¿En qué sentido? En generar toda la presión suficiente en la que le eleva el costo
Analysts on the
a
left
todos
is
los
calling
que
it
soportan, a la coalición que
deterrence
soporta a
at the
Maduro,
moment.
de que seguir con Maduro es peor que soltarlo. Entonces sigue en la disuasión en este momento. Porque como Maduro es considerado un narcoterrorista, él tiene dos condiciones. Como narco, una causa abierta aquí en el Distrito Sur de Nueva York, ¿verdad? Donde tiene que ser presentado, y por eso lo llama la fiscal Bundy un prófugo de la justicia. Y como terrorista tiene él la amenaza de militar, donde los terroristas son neutralizados, como fue Osama Bin Laden y el general iraní Soleimani.
Yeah, being marked with this terrorist designation, he how did he say, has the threat of
Fue Osama
military
Bin Laden
action
y el general
where
iraní
terrorists
Soleimani.
are
Esto
neutralized,
termina con
right, are
Maduro
killed.
saliendo voluntariamente, traicionado.
And he even name drops, as was the
Termina
case with
con
Osama
Maduro
bin Laden
saliendo
and the Iranian general
voluntariamente,
Qasem
traicionado o con
Soleimani.
un operativo.
Por ahora quieren la traición, es el esfuerzo que se está haciendo, y por eso activaron a la CIA, porque era la manera de poder tener presencia dentro de Venezuela, al no haber una embajada en Venezuela de los Estados Unidos. La forma de poder lograr interactuar con factores internos es a través de la CIA.
Pero
Okay, interesting analysis. So they're saying they've activated the CIA because there's no embassy in Venezuela for them to interact with. They don't have any presence in Venezuela, so they've activated the CIA because they kind of need people to go there on the ground. It's kind of this blackout zone. They don't have any, they don't have the same line of sight. I'm sure they have intelligence, but they don't have the same intel as they might in other places of the world. So that's why this analyst is saying they've activated the CIA.
¿Principio o el final? ¿Hay algo más dentro de la estrategia de la administración Trump? Sergio de la Peña piensa que es una cuestión de visión global. Todo esto también tiene como objetivo de que Estados Unidos tenga una presencia mucho más afín a sus objetivos en la región.
Yo pienso que la región debe considerar dos modelos. Hay el modelo de libre comercio y hay el modelo del socialismo. Y hemos visto cómo funciona el socialismo. Se ve diariamente en Cuba, se ve en Nicaragua, se ve en Venezuela. El mundo no es perfecto. Requiere tiempo para cambiar este modelo desastroso. Entonces, con el tiempo pienso yo que la gente ha llegado al reconocimiento que modelos como los socialistas no funcionan.
Ahora Estados Unidos también está imponiendo presión en Colombia.
Sí.
¿Está relacionado esto?
Obviamente la droga se produce en Colombia, se transporta hacia Venezuela y luego de Venezuela se viene hacia el norte. Narco es la droga, tráfico es mover la droga de punto A a punto B, y es lo que están haciendo esa gente que se lanza hacia el mar. Y lo que se le está diciendo al señor Petro, el presidente, es que esto ya no se puede permitir.
En el Comando Sur, los estrategas observan cada pista aérea y cada radar sobre Venezuela. Oficialmente estos son operativos en contra.
Just while we're talking about the Venezuelan military, I think they showed some of the Venezuelan military, kind of infrastructure there. I had read some analysis. Let me see where it was. That there are actually strong military ties between the United States and Russia. I think someone was saying that obviously Venezuela, a kind of enemy in the eyes of the United States. They've kind of been isolated from trade and things like that. Why would they want to go and buy U.S. arms that the U.S. might be able to, deactivate at the push of a button remotely? And maybe they know all of the ins and outs of the weapons that they're selling. So, yeah, there is not just a Venezuela-Iran connection, but a Venezuela-Russia connection, in that they have definitely purchased arms from Russia. And I think the United States doesn't like that either, right? Because now they're building a relationship. Maybe it's just trade and this kind of surface level relationship, but at least they're doing that. They aren't even doing that with the United States.
El narcotráfico.
I think broadly, as U.S. hegemony breaks down globally, we're going to see more expansion into Latin America. Yeah, the cartels are a pretext for ICE oppressing immigrants domestically, exploiting LA resources. Yeah, I think it's kind of plundering is how I see it, right? It's like we can't find the solutions internally, so we're going to use the how's the saying go? When all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail, right? All we have is this military, all of this military, a lot of people power, a lot of like actual arms, dollars for research and furthering this military spending, military technology. I kind of get it from a logical, like utilitarian perspective. I certainly don't agree with it, but I think if you're, to be in the to role play as manager of the empire, as king, I understand the motivation to be like, okay, we have this huge military. Venezuela has some natural resources. Fuck it, let's go. That's it makes perfect sense. If you're playing like a game or something, if you're playing like Civilization or Command and Conquer, something like that, it is a very yeah, it is how they see it. I mean, when they do these war games and stuff, that's exactly how they see it. That's how these are the frameworks that they use, are like, okay, economic gain, economic loss, and playing geopolitics like that. But no, yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think as hegemony breaks down, US hegemony breaks down, it's like this clinging to something. It's this just trying to do something in the death throes, right? They're just trying to cling to power, trying to cling to that same hegemony as it's starting to transition away and just disappear into dust.
Sin embargo, la duda es si en el fondo esto tiene como
And
objetivo
real quick, yeah, the
sacar a
cartels are a pretext for ICE. I think you're exactly right on that too, right? I think they're going to invoke this kind of terrorist designation. I think they're going to we've already seen some of this, right? The oh my goodness, I forget his name. The young man, I think he had a daughter as well. Obrego Garcia, I think was his last name. But right, they had claimed, oh, he's in with this drug cartel, he's in with this gang. I think they've already started the kind of diet version of that, and it's only going to get worse, right? It's only going to get worse to kind of connect all the dots together. Oh, okay, they're in with this Maduro guy, they're in with this dictator, they're in with the terrorists, they're in with the cartels, they're drug trafficking. It's not a far stone's throw. It makes logical sense that would be the next logical step of this kind of escalation, not just through foreign policy, through foreign military, but like you're saying, Chatter, exactly, domestically with ICE, with immigrants, and with ICE doing these police state style crackdowns, right? Like abducting people in unmarked cars, no badge, no mask over their face. They're just manufacturing the consent for this. Back to Chomsky. They really are. They're just playing the news cycle, doing this revolving villain thing. Now the terrorists are narco traffickers from Latin America, from Venezuela. They've already sowed the seeds for that. I think we're in some pretty dark times. I think that's the reality of it. They're really escalating, they're really ramping up. And they're pitting people against each other, even working class people. I had said it a few times during this stream. But these ridiculous sign-on bonuses, these ridiculous hiring bonuses for these armed goon forces, the ICE agents, the CBP agents, just law enforcement in general, police departments, sheriff's departments. They have these ridiculous and obviously attractive sign-on bonuses while people are struggling to pay their rent, struggling to make ends meet. Of course, thousands of dollars, tens of thousands, $50,000. That's like a dream come true. That's winning a game show money, That's Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire money. So that's nothing to scoff at. I understand the motivation, but it's so sad and tragic. They're pitting working people against each other. The rich that are controlling all of this, the rich that are sitting back trading the stock market, letting their money just grow and grow off of nothing, really, right? Passive income, the landlords, the stock traders, the bankers, they're doing nothing, sitting back, watching their money grow at the expense of working class people. The money doesn't come from nowhere. It's being drained from these people. Their surplus value of their labor, right? A little bit of theory that the surplus value of their labor is going to these business owners, going to the rich folks. And that's how they're accumulating their wealth, right? You make something that's worth something. Your time, your resources that were put into making the widget is worth something. But in that, pie chart, if you will, in that circle, the rich have taken more of that pie. They're giving you a sliver while they make the full profit as much as they can, as close to 100% profit as they can off of that. They're squeezing water from that stone. And that's what you get. It's good to rant. It's therapeutic. Gotta stay angry.
A Nicolás Maduro. Desde el Pentágono lo llaman disuasión, pero en Venezuela, claramente, esto es una provocación. What's going to happen with Nicolás Maduro? What do you think is going to happen?
I think the Trump campaign is a kind of psyop, psychological operation to get rid of Maduro, to crack the regime, just by putting more and more pressure on than we have ever put on before, or than Trump put on in his first term. Will it work is the question, and I think no one knows.
That's valid.
I would say that this situation is better from a couple of points of view for getting rid of Maduro. First, there was an election. There is an elected president, Edmundo Gonzalez. So if you ask, well, what happens if Maduro, there is a president-elect who can take office. Secondly, Trump is more kind of fearsome figure now, particularly after the bombing of Iran, than he was, I think, in the first term. So will it work? Maybe.
There's a limit to the amount of resources that you can deploy to the Caribbean.
Especially, I don't know if they're going to get into this here. I see the U.S. is being spread thin right now. The U.S. is obviously in West Asia, right? You have CENTCOM, Central Command, kind of in West Asia, Central Asia, close to Iran over there. Just on the other side of Asia, toward the east of Asia, U.S.'s eyes on China. There's all of these things kinds of bubbling up with Taiwan. They want to bolster their, missile defense. They want to build a T-dome, I think they called it. Like an Iron Dome, but for Taiwan. There's so many, the Taiwan politicians are trying to emulate some of the Israeli policy, I think. I think they find it in their interests, I believe, to kind of align into this kind of proxy of the West, proxy of the United States, colony, really, of the United States. And I think that's very interesting that they're so eager to kind of follow that path, follow that blueprint. Been talking for so long. Follow the blueprint that Israel has laid out. Follow the steps of that, right? To have the United States build up arms there, accept a lot of money coming in, have the financial markets really work hand in hand, which I think we already see in Israel. A lot of U.S. money in Israel and vice versa. A lot of Israeli money coming into the United States stock market and just finance in general. There's this very fascinating thing. This is a good reminder. I need to make a note to myself. There's this fascinating financial instrument called Israel bonds. And this is their official page. Invest in Israel bonds, invest in Israel bonds. Building tomorrow together, strong rates, strong returns. Since October 7th, we've surpassed 5.5 billion, blah, blah, blah. So there was this excellent article talking about how, mostly United States investors are buying this product, which is very fascinating. There's okay, maybe it's been some time now. Yeah, I think it's kind of buried in the news cycle. But yeah, this product is one of many ways, okay? One of many pieces of evidence that shows that the United States financial market and Israeli financial market, the economies, if you want to call it that, are linked. Okay. When one goes down, the other will have some kind of ripple effect. And obviously, the United States economy has a lot more dollars. They can kind of absorb that a bit more. They have a little bit more inertia, a bit more momentum to kind of absorb any crisis or something like that. But no, I think it's worth noting that there's a strong link here. I mean, this is just such a propagandized financial instrument. I mean, could you imagine you're buying some investment product, a bond, a treasury bond, a government treasury bond, and this is the kind of messaging is kind of like this, honestly, kind of wartime call to action, right? You have the flag here, the hostage ribbon kind of thing here. It's very fascinating. It's very fascinating. And again, most of the investors are actually not Israeli or even Israeli national. They're United States investors, Canadian investors. I think Australia was another big company, but yeah, kind of these allied countries where they have a conflict of interest. Even they have aligned interests, but it's just remarkable. It's just remarkable that things like this are happening. Again, this didn't exist, I think, until October 7th, and I think they have some kind of they have like a disclaimer, some kind of fact sheet, disclosure. Okay. But yeah, I think they are, government of Israel. The Development Corporation for Israel is registered with the SEC as a broker-dealer, and it's a member of FINRA. Yeah, I don't remember where, but I think these are like actual treasury bills. These are like for the government of Israel. You're investing in I don't remember what their currency is, but you're investing in a treasury bill like this. Absolutely bonkers. So yeah, where were we? Yeah, I think the US is spread thin. I think the US is spread thin. Back to that Risk board game analogy. It's like they have one piece in every country. So they have the whole world, right? They have the military bases all across the world. We could even pull up the map of US military bases. This is a classic. Especially love that kind of over the countries like China where they don't have a lot of things. They just decided to put like a key on there. So yeah, look at this. We got all of these bases around the world. Countries with the most number of United States bases. Japan has 120. I don't know how the hell they squeezed all that in there. I guess China's right there. So, and Russia. Talk about United States being spread thin, right? They're trying to play in their backyard. They're mobilizing here in Latin America, in the Caribbean and Latin America, off the coast of Venezuela over here. They're playing over here in West Asia. CENTCOM's over here in West Asia. Look at that. They just put Turkey over Russia and Kazakhstan because they don't have anything there, I guess. So they decided to put the key over there. Iran is a big black spot for them. They have nothing there but plenty of bases around, right? We were just talking about the Gulf states. Look at all of these military bases in the Gulf here. We can even zoom in a bit more because it's just so dense. But I mean, just all along here in the Gulf. It's bonkers. And yeah, Japan doesn't even have a standing army. I guess somehow they've worked out that, the United States is defensive. I think they're allied in that sense. There might be some defensive pact there. But yeah, post World War II, Japan has totally demilitarized. They don't have a military at all. It's all United States bases here. South Korea blotted out. by the United States military bases, of course, because North Korea is there. Again, proxy war is still happening there in kind of the shadow of the Cold War. It's just bonkers. It's just bonkers. So yeah, I see them spread thin, multiple theaters that they're trying to, you know, play their geopolitical interests, use their military. Like I said, they only have a hammer, so everything looks like a nail. I think they're trying to play the hand they've been dealt. The U.S. policymakers, U.S. generals are trying to play the hand that they've been dealt, dwindling resources, right? I think liquid natural gas, because of fracking and stuff like that, we've started to try and pump up since Biden getting some energy there, but we don't have a lot of petroleum. I think we're trying to mine as much as we can, get that out of Alaska and such, but we don't have a lot of petroleum. We don't have a lot of food, where we're importing a lot of that, and we're even exporting it, right? Sending it out instead of using things like soybeans, things like corn and corn products to feed our own people. I really see the United States as spread thin, not to mention, right, all of these theaters, Latin America, okay, Iran, Russia, China, just every part of the world you could possibly think of. I'm sure over here on the Russia side, right, that's facing Russia. This is the United States, closest part of the United States to Russia. Think back to, who was it, Sarah Palin? I can see Russia from my house. I think they're spread thin. I think they're spread very thin. And not to mention, I almost forgot, Ukraine. Ukraine, they have an active military confrontation. I mean, by every definition of the word, active, hybrid warfare, civilian collateral damage, collateral casualties. It's quite a situation. It's quite a situation. You have India, Pakistan, things are happening. Tensions have been there for quite some time over Kashmir. I don't know how these generals do it. I mean, they do have a different base in every part of the world, as you can see, but I think they're spread a little thin, overextended, right? Overextended.
What happens if Maduro doesn't go away, as the U.S. is trying to do?
The real answer to this question is in Trump's mind. Mm-hmm. You can't keep that flotilla there for 3 years now, until the end of his term. So maybe he walks away, he sends everyone home. I think it's more likely that he will increase the pressure. For example, I think it's very clear that he will start hitting targets on land inside Venezuela.
Una acción que podría no demorarse mucho. ¿Hay una ventana de tiempo para esto?
Yo pienso que sí. Esa capacidad que tiene hoy militar Estados Unidos en el Caribe no se sostiene infinitamente. El traslado del Gerald Ford, el destructor más grande del mundo, al Caribe, tiene que dar todas las señales de que esto tiene punto final.
Pero esto no está muy cantado, es decir, no le están dando mucha anticipación, muchas señales al régimen de Nicolás Maduro para que se defienda.
Sí, pero también le están diciendo al entorno, estamos listos, con ese poder de fuego que hay ahí, es la cuestión que tomen la decisión cuando quieran y sucederá. Y ellos lo que quieren es que sea una acción hecha.
I gotta find a tweet. This reminds me of Iran.
Lo sacan, lo traicionan.
Like the posturing
Yo creo
before
que al
Iran.
final va a ser traicionado.
Es el despliegue militar más grande en América Latina en décadas. Mientras tanto, Maduro convierte la amenaza externa.
It's the largest military deployment from the United States in Latin America in decades. It's the biggest, what was it, destroyer class ship? I mean, I don't think you just do that for fun. I mean, even if it's a threat, right? It's a threat. It's not an empty threat. Wow.
En su mejor herramienta política, el enemigo exterior se transforma en su mejor aliado interno. En las calles, la gente lo siente de manera diferente. Pero ¿cómo se vive la situación en Venezuela? Francisco Urristieta nos reporta desde Caracas.
El temor a un ataque militar de Estados Unidos comienza a asomarse entre los venezolanos.
Nadie sabe lo que es una guerra, pues nosotros nunca hemos pasado por una guerra y no la hemos vivido en carne propia, pero sí la hemos visto reflejada en otros países.
El miedo a lo que pueda pasar se deja sentir tanto en la calle.
Si va a pasar algo, que pase, pero para ellos nada más, porque nosotros los del pueblo somos inocentes de todo lo que está pasando en todo esto.
Como en las oficinas y negocios.
I really felt that. That person on the street said, if something's going to happen, let it happen to the people that deserve it. I'm paraphrasing, because we the people are innocent. Right? If war is going to happen, if escalation is going to happen, sure, go after the politicians. Leave the civilians out of it. Go for the, military, the people that have signed up for this kind of armed confrontation. I think that's the most just normal humanist take that could possibly be captured here. It's just some person, like it could be, someone's grandma on the street. Don't mean to be offensive. A very young grandma, but no, seriously, like they're playing with lives. Like this is, of course, they're doing the min-maxing civ game in these war rooms, but they're playing with people's lives. And they don't even get to enjoy the spoils of the empire, right? They don't get the American exceptionalism. They're just on the end of the gun. In the sights of these fighter jets, like these multi-role fighters, the bombers, the drones.
Bastante preocupación es la incertidumbre de no saber si llegaremos al año que viene.
Una incertidumbre que no evade clases sociales ni estratos económicos. Pedro Pérez vende ropa en una tienda ambulante en un concurrido bulevar de Caracas y le tiene miedo a una guerra.
Pues no podemos permitir que vengan fuerzas extranjeras, porque lo que nos van es a robar, nos van es a maltratar, nos van es a matar.
En la calle, pocos quieren hablar abiertamente sobre este choque entre Maduro y el presidente Donald Trump, cuyo destino dejan a la suerte o en manos de Dios.
Sí, en momentos mortifica porque uno ve todas las noticias, que están cerca los barcos, que no se ve más, qué es lo que va a pasar, que se van a bombardear, que se no va a pasar. Es lo que uno, siempre uno mentaliza algo malo.
Pero lo que más emerge en el sentimiento de muchos venezolanos es la incertidumbre por lo que pueda ocurrir y el desgaste de una larga espera por un desenlace.
Siento que todo va a quedar en la tensión política y ya, pues no va a escalar.
Algunos, como Angélica, una vendedora de ropa, toman medidas por este caso.
Trato de mantener, como te dije hace rato, la cordura y mi estabilidad mental, procurando no consumir demasiado contenido fatalista.
Otros, como Daniela, una oficinista de una pequeña agencia de publicidad, el asunto poco importa.
Es como vivir esa tensión ahí que finalmente ni se resuelve, ni se empeora, entonces está uno como que sin saber qué hacer.
I mean, I think what the situation is it's like you've been seeing what's happening in America. Obviously, they on this broadcast, or no, it's a different segment, actually, different video, but same network. They were talking about what's going on in America, talking about the ICE crackdown. Of course, right? U.S. policy is going to influence what's happening in Latin America. They're just such a huge power that the ripple effects are felt throughout the world, and they also kind of just determine world policy, right? Their kind of unipolar hegemony has such enormous impact in the world. So it makes sense that they're kind of monitoring this. But yeah, I was saying, imagine, you're seeing this kind of devolving of social order, if you want to call it that, in America, and then you see and that they have a huge military. You've watched the Marvel movies. You've seen, Saving Captain Ryan or American Sniper. But yeah, to finally see this at your doorstep, I get it. That's very sobering. That's very sobering. And you have the spectrum of people. Some are saying, okay, yeah, we always knew this was a reality, that our neighbor is a giant military state. And what are you going to do with other people saying, you know, I'm already taking precautions, I'm already scared and worried? I'm just thinking about the United States world reputation, how the world sees the United States. And sure, they might call this power projecting, but you know, how do everyday people see the United States? Warmongers. Your, you know, G.I. Joe quarterback is like the average person's impression of the United States. It's wild. It's so sad. So sad. And people should, you know, this is what American empire is. I'm not doing apologia, don't get me wrong. But what a evil presence to have in the world. What a violent and unkind way to move through the world, you know, like don't fuck with us or else. You know, you see this military going by you right here. It's like that, very threatening. It's very like mob boss Trump style, right? Would be a shame if you didn't step down from power and move over for our guy to get it. You know what I mean? That's the game here. We wouldn't want anyone to get hurt. It would be in your best interest to step down. Like these kinds of, seriously, like mafioso thing. And then they go and call them organized crime. Like, no, you guys are the criminals. You guys are the ones playing like this, acting like this, moving violently, threatening and escalating with the biggest military in the world. Do they think they have something to fear? Again, what's the argument? Okay, the drug traffic thing, that's not even one of the trade routes. It's not in this video, but someone else was saying this isn't even where, you know, if you want to talk about drugs, it's not even coming from Venezuela. So, like, where is any of this coming from? This is our reputation. This is our reputation. Tanks, you know, aircraft carriers. We're going to come and bomb you into freedom. That's Americans' reputation. That's America's reputation right now in the world, is everything's going to shit. And they're sending the military around to plunder like pirates. That's what the world thinks of us, I think. Cool. Love that. I'm not going to even try and like launder that or wash that. No, that's what America is. I'm going to work against that, but that's what America is. That's bang on. That's accurate.
Del país en caso de un ataque son los seguidores del chavismo, una minoría de funcionarios, milicianos y voluntarios que toman un apresurado entrenamiento militar.
Nos estamos preparando porque nuestro enemigo histórico siempre ha sido los Estados Unidos, el imperio norteamericano.
Pero la gran mayoría de los venezolanos andan en otra cosa, sin dejar un ojo en el conflicto con Estados Unidos, ponen el otro en lo mal que va la economía con una devaluación del bolívar que se está comiendo de nuevo los bolsillos de las mayorías.
Juan González es exdirector para el hemisferio occidental de la Casa Blanca. ¿Qué tan cerca o qué tan lejos está Estados Unidos de hacer una operación en contra de Nicolás Maduro?
Yo creo que estamos todavía bastante lejos de eso. Lo digo porque los Estados Unidos, el despliegue militar que está en el Caribe ahora, va mucho más allá de los requisitos de una operación antinarcóticos. Ahora que acaban de mandar un aircraft carrier, es una capacidad bastante grande, pero las tropas que tienen entre 6.000 y 10.000 tropas no es lo suficiente para entrar al país.
Entonces, ¿para qué van a llevar un portaaviones tan grande como el Ford, que es el más grande y más tecnológico de Estados Unidos?
Sí, bueno, el presidente ha indicado que el próximo paso es que ellos van a atacar blancos dentro del territorio venezolano y hasta el colombiano. Entonces yo creo que el próximo paso en la escalación sería posiblemente los Estados Unidos usar uno de los misiles Tomahawks para ir tras las bases del ELN. Eso es mucho más fácil, estás en un área rural, el costo civil es mucho más bajo, pero todo esto es parte de una guerra psicológica para convencer a alguien dentro de Venezuela que trate de recibir la recompensa, los $50 millones que han puesto sobre Maduro o a que se estabilice el régimen internamente. Pero eso no es lo que hemos visto hasta ahora.
¿Cuál es la probabilidad de que eso pase? Que realmente la presión sea tan fuerte que se rompa por dentro del régimen Maduro.
Es difícil, te digo, porque especialmente si uno ve la seguridad alrededor de Caracas, todos los activos que han sido desplegados son seleccionados específicamente, son vigilados muy de cerca. Los cubanos están ahí, tienen capacidad de counterintelligencia muy buena, y cualquier soldado que se salga de la línea los torturan hasta la muerte.
Entonces lo que me estás diciendo es que tú crees que Estados Unidos se devuelve a Estados Unidos sin nada en el bolsillo.
Bueno, la lectura política cínica de este despliegue es que todo tiene que ver con la migración, porque la administración perdió en el 6º distrito federal, en la Corte de Apelación, el uso del Alien Enemies Act para poder deportar a venezolanos sin un proceso debido. Y en la decisión del juez dijo que el argumento de que los Estados Unidos está siendo invadido no tenía méritos. Entonces uno puede leer de forma cínica que todo este despliegue es para fortalecer el caso que tiene la administración frente a la Corte Suprema para poder seguir usando esa autoridad para deportar a venezolanos.
¿Me estás diciendo que todo esto es por migración?
Es posible. Yo creo que esa es la lectura cínica. Si la Corte Suprema decide en contra de la administración, va a limitar la habilidad de esta administración de deportar a venezolanos como lo ha hecho hasta ahora.
Estados Unidos ha estado aquí antes. En 1991, el episodio Saddam Hussein. En 2001, Osama Bin Laden. En ambos casos, todo comenzó con retórica y terminó en guerra. Pero también hay precedentes de contención. La crisis de los misiles en Cuba demostró que la guerra no siempre llega. ¿Estamos ante una nueva guerra fría regional o ante el preludio de algo mayor? ¿Es Maduro, está en ese nivel de Saddam Hussein, de Osama Bin Laden?
Maduro no es una figura mundial, es una pequeña figura latinoamericana. Y el cambio en la retórica indica que es una campaña contra Maduro.
En 2020, el gobierno de los Estados Unidos declara a Nicolás Maduro como un narcoterrorista. No solamente es un autócrata, sino a la luz de los ojos del gobierno de los Estados Unidos, ahora es el jefe del cartel de los soles. Y aquí hay un gran problema. No solamente es un delincuente, sino también un jefe de Estado. Para derrocar a Maduro no sería como capturar a Bin Laden en una cueva. Sería enfrentarse a un Estado con aliados rusos e iraníes en su territorio y con la presencia activa de grupos armados como el ELN, un actor narcoterrorista transnacional. El Departamento de Guerra ha dicho que el ELN es ISIS, que el narcotráfico y las agencias de narcotráfico en Venezuela y en Colombia son Hezbollah. ¿Esa narrativa por qué?
Parte de esa narrativa es para que el presidente pueda utilizar la fuerza sin hablar con el Congreso. Entonces es una, digamos, expansión de poderes del presidente.
En el Pentágono se barajan 3 rutas: presión sostenida, sanciones, patrullas, ciberataques, golpes selectivos, ataques a radares, pistas clandestinas y redes del narcotráfico. O la más fuerte de todas: intervención total, la caída del régimen por la fuerza. Ninguna es fácil, todas tienen un costo. El presidente Trump ha dicho que Maduro le ha ofrecido de todo y él no ha aceptado, el presidente Trump no ha querido aceptar. ¿La única salida es que Maduro se salga del poder?
Yo creo que sí.
Con todo lo que usted ha visto, ¿usted cree que existe la posibilidad de que adentro del gobierno venezolano traicionen a Nicolás Maduro?
Bien difícil, porque imagínense, este es como Pablo Escobar, plomo o plata. La inteligencia cubana está en todas partes del gobierno de Venezuela para evitar una traición de esa forma.
Hasta el momento, más de 10 ataques, por lo menos 50 muertos en las operaciones en alta mar de Estados Unidos contra el narcotráfico. Están destruyendo lanchas con misiles. Los republicanos están convencidos de que hay fundamento legal para hacerlo. Sin embargo, los demócratas tienen dudas. Venimos hasta acá para hablar con el senador Tim Kaine de Virginia y preguntarle sobre el tema. Senador, desde su postura, su posición en el Comité de Relaciones Internacionales, ¿qué tan cerca o qué tan lejos ve usted una intervención militar en Venezuela?
Parece que hay muchas acciones, barcos en Mar Caribe, barcos en el Pacífico. Las palabras del presidente está hablando en una manera bien abierta, yo sé, open,
sí,
abierto sobre acciones en Venezuela, covert, pero también la posibilidad de intervención con
Not Tim Kaine.
Y las palabras y las acciones
I forgot.
Necesitan un debate y un voto aquí en el Senado.
El presidente dice que esto es sobre narcotráfico. ¿Usted cree que es sobre narcotráfico?
A ver, el presidente está diciendo eso, pero muchas veces otra gente en la administración está hablando sobre cambio de liderazgo de nación. Y yo no soy un apoyante de Maduro. Él es un dictador que cada día está cometiendo gran errores en derechos humanos y la gente en Venezuela está sufriendo porque de su liderazgo.
This guy, yeah, doing the same thing,
creo
right?
que acción militar
United Front,
de los
the
Estados
whole
Unidos
government
es la respuesta.
is like, yeah, we don't like this guy, but I don't believe in military action. You know, I would hate to see it, you know, by any means. I can't do it. I don't personally endorse military. The first thing out of his mouth is, yeah, this guy is hurting Venezuelans. You're talking about a coup. Like, the military is there. And, okay, this is a good time. I have the video paused. For, oh, shoot, where did I lose it? There's this tweet from Joe Emmersberger. Trump lulled Iran into a false sense of security before Nazi Israel attacked and bragged about how he knew everything. So when he says no strikes on Venezuela are planned, assume the opposite. In this particular case, Israeli claims are credible for once. So this is the Times of Israel, how an Israeli-American deception campaign lulled Iran into a false sense of security. They're bragging here. Oh, we played them for fools. President Trump, genius President Trump, Art of the Deal author, President Trump, used his excellent, genius moves to lull Iran into a false sense of security. Those stupid Iranians never saw it coming. They're doing the same thing. Yeah, they were like, oh, it's not going to happen. They like had the B-2 bombers flying out or whatever. I think there was even like a what do you call it? Like a distraction. There were 2 bombers that were sent out on, I don't know if it was a training or something like that. And then on the 3rd day after whatever announcement was made, whatever got leaked out that, oh, something's going to happen, on the 3rd day after is when something happened. Not the 2nd day. Definitely not the 1st day when they have, you know, they're on red alert. This is their big brain 4D chess move, is wait until the 3rd day after you leak something that you're going to do something. So I don't know if it'll repeat itself, but this is the Trump admin MO, right? Is to, I don't even know what the fuck this is. Leak stuff intentionally and then like play the news cycle around that. I don't know what the fuck they're doing. But yeah, I wanted to bring up that tweet. I think it's very relevant here. Very relevant.
Hicieron acción militar en Venezuela.
Yo soy el padre de un miembro de las Fuerzas Armadas y tengo un montón de gente en Virginia que están directamente afectados por cualquier cosa en el militar. Entonces siempre estoy pensando de mis tropas y las familias de ellas. Si hay una guerra, es posiblemente que va a ser más venezolanos saliendo del país. Y eso tiene un efecto en Colombia y Ecuador, pero también tiene un gran efecto en nosotros, en la frontera y en nuestra política doméstica.
Senador, ¿por qué cree
He's doing such a politician job here. The question was like, do you see war breaking out? And he's like, oh, well, actually, you know, I have a son. One of my kids is in the armed forces, so I would hate to see, like, is that supposed to be some kind of humanization? Are we supposed to, like, pity you? We're supposed to pity Tim Kaine and Tim Kaine's military child? Who fucking cares? They have the whole United States Army behind them and NATO. I don't know if you saw the NATO flag there on this ship. I don't know what the fuck that has to do with anything. That's the NATO flag. Like, you're talking about my child is part of the Imperial Stormtrooper force, and so I think I have great concern about the war on Naboo, the rebellion. I would hate to see war on Naboo break out. As an Imperial visor, as an Imperial senator, I must say that I would hate to see Naboo break out into war, but the rebel scourge must go. At some point, we have to come back to peace so that the Empire can prosper. I hate to say it, no one wants to see bloodshed, but as an Imperial senator, again, my child is a stormtrooper. I don't want to see them go to war. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Like, are we supposed to feel some empathy toward that? Is that what you're doing, Tim Kaine? We're talking about the United States escalating against Venezuela. And not just Venezuela. Someone else was saying they have eyes set on Mexico. They have eyes set on, what was it, Colombia. Venezuela is, it would make it easier. This person said, if they did Venezuela first, if Maduro was out of power in Venezuela, it would make it easier to have this kind of brute force intervention in both Mexico and I believe it was Colombia. Again, in the name of this, I don't know, drug war thing. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Now they've marked them terrorists. They have the terrorist designation. Yeah, and we just saw, I was off screen here, but they were showing a timeline. They showed, like the American regime changes in West Asia. I think they had Saddam Hussein. I think they had Osama bin Laden. They're just showing, this is the United States MO. First, military escalation. Then they mark you a terrorist. More military escalation. Then they come out, kill you, install their guy, and put military bases down. Maybe they disarm you too at the same time. Oh, God.
Y eso tiene un efecto en Colombia y Ecuador, pero también tiene un gran efecto en nosotros, en la frontera y en nuestra política doméstica.
Senador, ¿por qué cree usted que el presidente Trump está haciendo esto?
Hay gente que está diciendo que es sobre narcotraficante, hay gente que está diciendo que es sobre cambio de liderazgo, hay gente que está diciendo es por petróleo. No estoy seguro, no estoy seguro. El presidente tiene sus razones propias y él tiene...
Wow, even Imperial Senator Kaine is saying, some people are saying it's about oil. I'm not sure. He's giving it air, not quite denying it. It's fascinating. And even he's saying, I'm not sure. The United Front, Maduro is a bad guy. He has to go. We've got to liberate Venezuela. But even he doesn't have the notes on what to say. The president has his own reasons. There's a group of people in the administration, and they have their point of view as well.
Y podemos tener un debate y voto sobre eso. Yo voy a votar no a una guerra ahorita. El presidente está tomando acciones, en mi opinión, que son ilegales.
He's saying, I'm going to vote no to war. Right now, the president is taking actions that, in my opinion, are illegal in a constitutional system.
Congreso tiene este poder y no el presidente.
Senador,
starting war is clear in our system. I think he's saying that, to the act of declaring war is a clear legislative action, right? Only Congress can declare war. I guess going back to Obama administration, we had these drone strikes, extrajudicial drone strikes without congressional approval. So that kind of laid the that was the trailblazing of not needing congressional declaration of war, not leading the legislative branch to sign off of that. But yeah, that's I think that's what he's saying here is, we need to vote on war. I'm not going to vote for it, but it's a clear declaration. That's the line.
El argumento del presidente Trump de que la lucha contra el narcotráfico es una lucha de seguridad nacional.
Senator, what do you think about President Trump's argument that the fight against drug trafficking is a national security fight? Does that make sense? Senator says, I agree, yes. It is a matter of great importance. I'm a member of the Armed Forces Committee also, and I agree that we need ways, I guess, to fight drug trafficking.
Convirtió a los narcos en terroristas. Luego, los declaró objetivo de seguridad nacional.
The administration has built a legal framework. First, he turned the drug traffickers into terrorists. Then he declared them a national security target. And finally, Congress failed to stop the use of military weapons against drug trafficking. Maduro is not alone. Mexico and Colombia share ideological affinities. And the same enemy, drug trafficking.
Una alianza simbólica que podría complicar.
While Chambon keeps his distance, Petro adopts a defiant stance, a symbolic alliance that could complicate any attempt at intervention.
En contra de Gustavo Petro en Colombia. También está hablando, como usted lo ha dicho, de bombardeos en tierra, que probablemente también ocurra en Colombia. ¿Esto puede saltar a Colombia también?
Colombia is a different situation because Petro will leave. His term will end and he won't be president. I would think it's more likely to see attacks on, for example, the ELN Colombians in Venezuela, where we know they have bases. Creo también que todo lo que está pasando en el Caribe y con Venezuela y amenazas contra Colombia.
I also believe everything that's happening in the Caribbean and with Venezuela and threats against Colombia, all of this is a message to Mexicans and the government of Mexico that this can happen in Mexico too. One day, if you do not act strongly against the cartels within
¿Es el
Mexico.
final de Maduro o simplemente otro capítulo de amenazas de Washington que no terminan en guerra? Para muchos, con al menos 14 bombardeos a narcolanchas y más de 50 presuntos narcotraficantes muertos en el Caribe y el Pacífico, Washington ya cruzó una línea
14 bombings, more than 50 killed in these extrajudicial killings. Washington has crossed the line from which it cannot return. Yeah.
Estados Unidos tiene dispuestos en el sur del Caribe casi el 15%.
They even backing down to many would be considered a political defeat. Now he's saying the United States has almost 15% of its naval forces deployed in the southern Caribbean.
¿Se puede devolver el presidente Donald Trump sin hacer nada, sin Maduro? Ya cruzó la línea.
Él está comprometido ahora y por eso creo que habrá próximos pasos y el próximo paso para mí es.
So this envoy is saying, I think he's committed now. There will be next steps, and the next step for me is
this whole flotilla
dagger inside the military.
For 3 more years, the time Trump has in office. So I think we're talking about months, not years.
It's the same quote from
action
earlier,
has
okay.
to be forced more quickly. I would say even this year.
El ex embajador Story piensa que si Estados Unidos no actúa después de todo esto, perdería credibilidad global. Y eso sería un precio muy alto para la inacción. ¿Cree usted
They
que
said if
Estados
the
Unidos
US doesn't act after all this, they would lose global credibility, and that would be too high a price. To who, though? To who? Why are they making an example out of Venezuela? For who? the other regional powers? Is this supposed to scare Iran? Is this supposed to scare Russia or China? What is this? This seems absolutely unrelated. It's like, go fight your actual war. Why? What? Pick on someone your own size. Why are you bombing fishing boats as a show of power? That doesn't make any goddamn sense. Unarmed fishing boats? That's what you're gonna make into trophies? Shameless.
Trump ya cruzó la línea de no hacer nada. Con toda esta presencia militar, ¿se puede volver sin hacer absolutamente nada?
Yo creo que no. Por esa razón, yo creo que 80% de probabilidad que vamos a hacer algo. Porque imagínense, si no hacemos nada, somos un tigre sin dientes.
En contraste, Juan González piensa que todavía hay espacio para no hacer mucho. Pero ¿no se vería muy mal la administración Trump después de desplegar portaaviones, como dices tú, 10-15% de la naval de los Estados Unidos a la zona del Caribe, sin Maduro y con unas cuantas lanchas destruidas?
Bueno, lo han hecho antes, o sea, han hecho despliegues durante la primera administración Trump y la pregunta es buscar una salida, ¿no? Y por eso se necesita un canal de diálogo. Yo creo que un error que cometió esta administración es cerrar esos canales de diálogo, porque yo creo que hay un espacio para poder presionar a Maduro a llevar a ciertas concesiones, a ciertos pasos que él debe tomar antes de irse del poder. Entonces hay un espacio aquí para poder negociar y darle una victoria al presidente Trump.
¿Tú ves posible que Venezuela ataque a Estados Unidos en medio de su desesperación?
Cuando no hay comunicaciones entre las dos partes, ese tipo de errores pueden pasar. Las fuerzas aéreas venezolanas no tienen capacidad de defender en contra de un ataque americano. Los F-35 solamente la capacidad tecnológica, no sabrán que están ahí hasta que estén encima de ellos. Pero las aerodefensas chinas y rusas no son, hay un chance más de cero que puedan haber.
Whoa, I missed it. Do you see it's possible that Venezuela will attack the United States in the midst of its desperation, right? In this escalation situation. When there's no communication between the two parties, those kinds of errors can happen. The Venezuelan Air Force, no, they do not have the capacity to defend against an American attack. F-35 only, technological capability, they won't know they're there until they're on top of them. But the Chinese and Russian self-defenses are not. There's one more chance than zero, like a non-zero chance that they might bring down a plane. And the worst thing that can happen is that, right? That would be like what is it, the SS America kind of situation. That would be the, then they would go to Congress and say, look, they shot one of our planes down. Let's go to war, avenge our fallen soldiers. That would be it, right? So they've cornered them now. They're in a lose-lose situation. At catch-22, U.S. is escalating. I'm not sure what Venezuela is supposed to do here, because any kind of even defensive posturing could be seen as escalation too. So it's really a hairy situation that the United States has started by escalating like this, and even before that by killing people. They've made this situation the way it is.
Palabras afiladas, armas desplegadas.
He has offered everything. He's offered everything. You're right. You know why? Because he doesn't want to fuck around with the United States.
Stop softball question. Shut the
La
fuck
pregunta
up.
es, ¿hasta dónde la llevará?
President Trump trying to be some
En el
big
pasado,
man.
esas palabras
God, give me a
terminaron en
break.
guerras o en extracciones como las de Noriega en Panamá y otras veces en nada. Usted que conoce bien a Nicolás Maduro lo ha tenido enfrente. ¿Qué está pensando Nicolás Maduro hoy?
Me imagino que en este momento está bajo bastante presión. Por esa razón.
The subtitles.
Él entregó visas para muchos periodistas para entrar ahí.
Esa escalación pase sin un canal de comunicación.
Thank you, everybody.
La pregunta es, ¿hasta dónde la llevará y cuándo? En el pasado, esas palabras terminaron en guerras o en extracciones como las de Noriega en Panamá y otras veces en nada. Usted que conoce bien a Nicolás Maduro lo ha tenido enfrente. ¿Qué está pensando Nicolás Maduro hoy?
Me imagino que en este momento está bajo bastante presión. Por esa razón, él entregó visas para muchos periodistas para entrar ahí y para tener entrevistas. Me imagino que él se siente aislado y solo tiene sus amigos Irán, Cuba, Nicaragua.
So he was asking what's going to happen to Maduro. What do you think is going to happen to Maduro? I think he's saying here that he has, very few allies, Cuba, Nicaragua. He doesn't really have a
China y Rusia.
China, Russia.
Que puede quedarse firme y que nosotros no vamos a hacer nada.
I didn't quite catch that. I think something about that he could use force or nothing.
No está interpretando bien lo que está pasando en el Caribe.
Desconfiado.
Su análisis sobre lo que está pasando es que es un bluff del presidente Trump. En esta vez yo no veo un bluff del presidente Trump. Yo creo que el presidente Trump va a hacer algo.
González tiene experiencia de primera mano con Maduro, puesto al límite. Dices, lo viví en carne propia. Tú estuviste en el 2022 en la liberación de una serie de secuestrados americanos en Venezuela y tuviste la oportunidad de estar de frente con Nicolás Maduro. De lo que viste, de lo que trabajaste, de lo que fuiste protagonista, Maduro, ¿cómo está reaccionando a esto?
Bueno, yo dudaría que él está durmiendo en el mismo lugar cada noche. Ellos tienen mucho paranoia sobre las capacidades que tienen los Estados Unidos. Imagino que están bajo muchísimo estrés. Yo reconozco que dentro del régimen hay elementos criminales, ¿no? Hay elementos involucrados con el narcotráfico, el uso, la vendida ilícita de oro y varias otras cosas para sobrevivir. Y eso no se presta a una negociación tradicional. Entonces es apropiado que los Estados Unidos pongan presión, pero presión en cuanto a acciones más quirúrgicas, no castigar al resto del país. Un despliegue militar, eso está bien. El uso unilateral de la fuerza es algo que es un error y es una violación de las leyes.
Para Nicolás Maduro, la diferencia podría ser el fin de su régimen o el inicio de un conflicto regional. Y para Donald Trump, una jugada maestra, un cambio de régimen, el control del narcotráfico y un nuevo dominio regional. O tal vez el comienzo de un caos total, el fortalecimiento del sentimiento americano y un golpe político en casa. A la gente que está en Venezuela hoy, ¿usted qué le diría?
Ustedes son más que ellos. Ustedes merecen libertad. Ustedes merecen la justicia. Ustedes merecen vivir en un país donde el gobierno funciona para todos y no para pocos. Y son ustedes, con su voz, hay que alzar la voz para ser escuchados en el mundo. Hicieron en la última elección y deberían estar haciéndolo hoy día. Pidiéndole al mundo, ayúdenos por favor, ya estamos saliendo de este pesadilla de décadas y vamos juntos a construir un país mejor para todos los venezolanos.
Para Abrams, quien trabajó con el presidente Trump, la apuesta en Venezuela arrojará resultados positivos para el mandatario. ¿El presidente gana en esto?
Trump is making a bet here. I mean, he's taking a risk. He's using a lot of force, a lot of military power. If 3 years from now Trump is gone and Maduro is not, this is a real loss for Trump. I don't think he's willing to accept that loss.
Fuck. Sobering, but I think sound analysis. Yeah, I don't see, put yourself in Trump's shoes. You want to even do like a kind of game theory kind of thing. What are Trump's motivations? What does Trump want? What does Trump not want? I think Trump wants to be seen as a strong leader, as a strong military leader specifically, as a patriarchal figure, like this I don't even know what to say, like a he wants to be seen as like a war lord, maybe war king, And I don't see why he would do this escalation for nothing. I'm agreeing with this guy where, let's look 3 years down the line. Would Trump want to do this escalation and have nothing come of it? Or would Trump want to do this escalation and have his legacy be that he, the Trump administration, President Trump, removed Maduro from power? And I think sadly that's good analysis. I think sadly that makes perfect sense. That something's gonna happen here. I don't know what, but I don't think this is a nothing burger.
And if he wins, what does he win?
If he wins the idea that the United States, which is the dominant power in the Middle East, is the dominant power in the Western Hemisphere. And government...
Wow, really doing the propaganda. If he wins the idea that the United States, this guy is claiming, is the dominant power in the quote-unquote Middle East, is the dominant power in, what was it, the Caribbean Ocean?
Is the dominant power in the Western Hemisphere.
Is the dominant power in the Western Hemisphere. So this is a ritual sacrifice. This is a demonstration. Like I said earlier, this is a don't fuck with us. We're making an example out of Venezuela because we've done the assessment and we think this is a quick cakewalk. Which I think is a terrible miscalculation. Like I said, I think the United States is spread thin. They think that this is just in their backyard. And so they can do this with ease. But I think it's a miscalculation. Sure, they might be able to do it, but at what cost? Their focus is here. Their troops are here. Their assets are here. Their energy and time is focused on this operation. They're doing like 5 other things in the world at least. Opportunity cost, right? You're doing this, but, at the cost of what you could potentially gain from doing something else. And that's bullshit. The United States is definitely not the dominant power in the Middle East. If they're the dominant power in the Middle East, what's to show for it? These fucking resistance fighters are fucking dog walking the United States. They can't touch them. They downed a Reaper drone and fucking reverse engineered it. No, the fuck they're not. They're maybe the dominant power in Israel because they are giving them all of their arms and Israel has nothing. What a sad excuse for propaganda. Get the fuck out of here. Oh my God. And this reporter is just like smiling.
That rebel against that are going to be in trouble.
To rebel against that would be trouble.
That rebel
It would be a shame if you got on the bad side of the United States.
Against that are going to be in trouble.
Y políticamente, internamente, ¿qué gana?
I think Trump will, if he
I
gets
said politically, maybe militarily, who wins? I think Trump.
rid of Maduro, say this is a great victory from the drug war point of view and from the migration point of view. Maybe Venezuelans will start to go home, although I think they will start to go home from.
What the fuck? This guy goes, I think this will be good for Venezuela, or this will be good for immigration because maybe Venezuelans will go home. Maybe. Maybe if we bomb Venezuela and liberate them, then all these immigrants will go back home. What the fucking hell? Is he cracking up? Like, does he even believe what he's saying? Holy fuck. And hats off to the reporter here. What the fuck? Listening to this puppet without cursing at him and throwing your shoe at him.
Much more than from the U.S.
Y por eso la pregunta es, ¿será este un Irak o un Afganistán para Donald Trump? O tal vez la victoria perfecta. Yo soy Luis Carlos Vélez en edición especial de Línea de Fuego de Noticias Univision 24/7, Maduro en la mira.
The way they're doing the comparisons, drawing the comparisons to Iraq, Afghanistan, to Saddam Hussein, Bin Laden, I think is spot on. I think not in the sense necessarily that, you know, these guys have anything in common from an ideological standpoint. Sure, they're against the United States, and I think that's the common denominator. But I think the point of this report bringing up those figures and even adding them in the infographic to make that timeline of US interventions is telling of what people are feeling here. People see this as, you know, the gun is loaded and cocked and ready to kill Maduro and install the next guy, the puppet for America. That's what everyone sees. And I think the United States has even, you know, basically said this through, you know, leaks and stuff, maybe not through official channels. But they're basically saying this is what's going on. They're getting rid of this guy. It isn't playing ball. And they're going to install someone that will. They're going to install a leader that will be a United States sycophant, someone that will be a yes man for the United States and for Trump specifically. All they're thinking of. Okay. Oh my gosh, this is a while ago. Who was the guy talking in the video? The one who said that invading Venezuela would reduce immigration? If I recall correctly, that was like affiliated with the government. Some guy affiliated with the government. I think he was the special envoy. Let's see here. I wonder if I can do like a reverse, you know, like an image search kind of thing. They had introduced him earlier.
Experience that we had in the Middle East.
Especial de Donald que aún no cierra. Elliot Abrams fue enviado especial de Donald Trump a Irán y Venezuela.
Elliot Abrams. Honorable Elliot Abrams. Elliot Abrams. Lawyer and former, what did it say? This guy. This is the guy that said invading Venezuela would I didn't know if he said reduce immigration. I think he said it would you know, fix the immigration problem. I'm paraphrasing is kind of how he said it. My God, his involvement in the Iran-Contra scandal during the Reagan administration led to his conviction in 1991 on 2 misdemeanor counts of unlawfully withholding information from Congress. He was later pardoned by President George H.W. Bush. Evil, evil motherfucker. What the hell? Yeah, it's fine if we don't know for sure. Just curious. Yeah, this is the guy. No, this is definitely the guy. And he said it at the end here. I don't want to paraphrase, right? Let's not put words in his mouth. What did he exactly say? Here. Yeah, right here. Wow, I can't believe I remembered it.
Que gana.
What do they win?
I think Trump will, if he gets rid of Maduro, say this is a great victory from the drug war point of view and from the migration point of view. Maybe then.
So if Trump wins, he will say this is a victory from the war on drugs point of view and from the immigration point of view, is what Elliot Abrams had said.
Venezuelans will start to go home, although I think they will start to go home from.
He had M1 Abrams. Yeah, I think the he may be in the lineage. Call back to the Abrams M1 joke. Incredible. What the hell? And then he goes on.
Venezuelans will start to go home, although I think they will start to go home from Colombia, Chile, Peru, much more than from the U.S.
I think Venezuelans will start to go home, although I think they will go home from Colombia, Chile, Peru, and other places much more than the United States. What the hell? Convicted Iran-Contra scandal, disgraced politician and lawyer Elliot Abrams is doing this shit now? Yeah, what he's serving as something right now. He has served as the U.S. Special Representative. Does he have a current position? In office. Okay, so I think this is like a former, what do you call it? Yeah, foreign policy politician. But he is a lawyer. And he served as special representative for Venezuela from 2019 to 2021. So I guess that's why they've called him in here. And then I guess actually this is concurrently, right? 2019 to 21 and 2020 to 21 he was special representative for Iran. Could you imagine the same guy, like the Contra affair happens and the same guy comes back to be the special envoy? They're like, really? This guy? This guy? In charge of promoting Bush's strategy of, quote, advancing democracy abroad. It starts with a bomb. That's the... And then we get oil, is that what you said? It's... Yeah, it's like the meme, step 1, drop a bomb. Step 2, question mark, question mark, question mark. Step 3, profit. We get oil. Like, democracy and oil. It just happens. I don't know. What the fuck? Like, this is absolutely bonkers. Second paragraph on this guy. His involvement in the Iran-Contra scandal during the Reagan administration led to his conviction in 1991 on 2 misdemeanor counts of unlawfully withholding information from Congress. Like, holy shit. Holy shit. Quite fitting for him to return at this time. Hilarious. I think so too. Yeah, I think it's not even ironic. Like, it actually makes perfect sense. It actually makes perfect sense. This is the guy for the job. This is the guy for the job. I mean, like, talk about merit, credentials, whatever. Who else are you going to go for? Who else are you going to go for? Yeah, under the Trump, first Trump presidency, right? No. Yeah, under the first Trump presidency, he was a special representative for Iran. Oh, this guy knows his Iran Latin America scandal. Yeah, this is his bread and butter. This is like, he's the expert, right? They called him in on this Univision interview because they're like, okay, you know, we need the guy that knows about like coups. We need the guy. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm glad we came back to this because yeah, he was a particularly menacing individual, I think, in that that segment. But wow, to put the name to the face. Thank you, Chatter. Now we have the like baseball card. We have the I don't even know what you call it. The we got his info. We got him. We got him. Advancing democracy. Oh boy. Demanding the removal of Saddam Hussein as his primary goal. Yeah, okay. So yeah, this is definitely the guy. Definitely the guy for the job. But yeah, apparently he's in the background now, right? He's not in office, but I'm sure he's going to the fundraisers, you know, schmoozing, going to the dinners, the cocktail parties, going to the think tanks, you know, the actual meetings or whatever. Once you're in, is the way I understand it. Once you're in, you get called to these things. You are in the foreign policy of the United States. That's your business now. To hear from the Iran-Contra guy on how to solve the immigration problem. Exactly. Thank you, Elliot Abrams, for weighing in. We will take that with a boulder of salt. Thank you.